All right, this is my fourth lesson on the fundamentals of skiing technique, and we're working on the fourth fundamental concept, which involves vector analysis of instantaneous force, acceleration, and inertia. And the reason why I emphasize the word instantaneous is because, well, it's always changing, right? For example, if you're in a right turn, at this moment in time, the force vector is directed towards the center of the arc, the center of a wheel, for example. And then acceleration, which is caused by that force, is in exactly the same line. And then inertia, which is a resistance to acceleration, is in the same line but pointed directly opposite. Okay. Now this is going to change. For example, at the start of the turn, it's aimed this way, right? Over here, it's going to be aimed this way. All right. All right. So it's changing. That's why I say, we're talking about instantaneous, right? At this moment. Okay. It's going to be changing as you go around. All right, so I want to give you a little bit of background information, which involves understanding gravity. All right, there's a common misconception that gravity is a force. I mean, that's what you're taught in school, for example, I don't know, middle school, when you learn about basic physics. But it's not a force. Gravity is not a force. Gravity, believe it or not, is an acceleration caused by the curvature of space-time, around large objects like the Earth or the sun, whatever. They warp space-time. All right. However, acceleration and force always go hand in hand. Usually, a force causes an acceleration, like the force that's generated by your car engine causes your car to accelerate. But in the case of gravity, actually, an acceleration creates a force. So gravity is an acceleration, and then when you combine that with your mass, it creates your weight, which is a force. Your weight is the amount of force that's being applied to the ground when you're standing, right? Your weight. The magnitude of force depends upon the size of both mass and acceleration. Hence, you get the equation force equals mass times acceleration. All right. Now, I want to explain this diagram here. All right. So it's a right turn. You're starting here and you're making a right turn, okay, with your skis. And the force that's applied is always perpendicular to wherever you are on that arc and pointed towards the center of the circle. And acceleration is lined up with it. Again, inertia, being the resistance acceleration, is directly opposed to it. All right, now momentum is perpendicular to the force and acceleration, right? This is the direction it's going at that moment. Now the force and acceleration is going to make it curve more and more this way, right? So it's going to go around like this, but at this moment it's going like that. So if you let go at this moment, it's going to fly out in that direction. If you let go at this moment, it's going to fly out in this direction. Okay. If you let go at this moment, it's going to fly out in this direction. All right. So when a turn, both force and acceleration are pointed at the center of the arc. Acceleration is a change in velocity, right? Now, inertia is a resistance to a change in velocity. Thus, inertia resists acceleration in the exact opposite direction, right? I want to make sure that you understand that. Uh, okay, that's kind of important to know. Inertia in angular motion creates centrifugal force. For example, you put your washing machine on spin cycle, all right, and how it dries the clothes is it spins and it throws that water outward, right, in the direction of inertia. It's thrown out, right. Now, centrifugal force is not a real force because it's based upon inertia. But let me explain it this way. So let's say you start running at a wall, right? At full speed. Now, because uh, your body has inertia, it's going to resist the change in motion. Now, when you hit that wall, it's going to apply a force on the wall, All right, so inertia is not a force, but you know when you come in contact with something, you're just going to apply a force. All right. Now, do not confuse inertia with momentum. They sound similar, but momentum is mass times velocity. All right. So this is inertia, and momentum in this case is perpendicular to it. So whatever object is moving in this direction, right? But the resistance to a change in motion is directly in line with acceleration. Okay. As a caveat, momentum shown here is only for feet, boots, and skis. All right. And the reason why I want to mention this is because even though you know your upper body, for example, is connected to your eventually to your legs, it's not rigidly connected. And generally, the idea is you want to minimize the movement of your upper body center of mass, both vertically, up and down, and laterally. You want to minimize that, right? I'll explain the reasons why later, but now real quickly, laterally, if you can get around gates, for example, in slalom, if you can get around gates so that your boots just get around the gate, your skis and boots get around it, right? And you want to minimize the lateral motion of your upper body center of mass, right? The more you move that mass back and forth, the more force you have to apply, and you know to get it going, and the more force you have to apply to get it to stop and catch it, and then get it back in the other direction, right? So applying more force, you risk more chance of creating more friction, breaking more ice bonds, and bleeding energy. Okay, so you want to minimize your lateral. You want to maximize your motion of your skis to get around the gates, but you want to minimize the motion of your upper body center of mass. Now, the reason why we're doing this analysis is because an analysis of force and acceleration vectors will explain the need to weight the outside ski, the principles of how to weight the outside ski, and the adverse effects of weighting the inside ski. All right. All right. So I want to start with a simplified 1 point example. So you have like just 1 point touching the ground. Instead of 2 feet, 2 skis, we're going to just imagine there's only 1 point to simplify, to make it easier to understand. Now we'll start off with a skier standing in the lift line, right? Now the skier's weight applies a force on the snow. So here's a skier standing there, right? And their weight is represented by this pink flesh-colored arrow, right? That's their weight, that's their force. That's the force they apply to the snow. It's equal to and opposite to the force that the snow applies upon your feet, right? So it balances out the force, they cancel out, and you're not moving. You're just standing there, right? Now, if you lean to one side or another, right, that's going to create a lever arm, right? So imagine you're leaning to the this side here, okay, to this right side here, all right? Now, what do I have here? Okay, so the upward force located at the point of contact. So this is still located at your feet, you know, your skis, right? Now, the downward gravity force, right, which in this case is just gravity, right, is centered at the center of mass, right? Now, really, it's applied to your whole body, but you know, for simplicity's sake, for analysis, we're just gonna, try to estimate a center of mass, right? So that force is applied at the center of mass. Now, if you lean over to the side, what happens is it creates a lever arm. So this is a stationary point, right? And this, imagine this is like a hinge or a fulcrum, I guess, right? All right. And the force applied to the side is no longer directly above, it's applied to the side. It creates a lever arm and pushes down, and it's going to rotate you down like this, right? And then you're going to fall over. So the skier is going to fall over. And in fact, this happened to me once. I'm not sure how. It was pretty embarrassing, but I was standing in a lift line, and I must have done something, and I fell over in a lift line. It was so embarrassing. So this is a simple starting point, right? Now let's take a 0.5 G turn, which is kind of a gentle turn, half a G, all right? All right, let's say it's a right turn. Force is applied to the snow on the skier. It's a right turn. And so this is the force applied by the snow on a skier. it's equal to 1g, right? Which is one gravity force, right? So whatever your weight is, right? Let's say you weigh 200 pounds. This is 200 pounds here of force. Now, if you're in a 5G turn, you have to add this way another 100 pounds, all right? And what you do is, so this is the centripetal force due to the acceleration of the turn, all right? You're turning this way, the snow is applying a force this way to push you that way, all right? Now, the total amount of force, to calculate that, you do the vector sum. So if you take this straight down, make a line going across here, that is a vector sum. That is the overall direction of force and the overall magnitude. So this is 1, right? It's going to be a little bit larger than 1g, right? Maybe like 1.2 or 3 g's or something like that. All right, does that make sense? Hopefully it does. All right, so vector sum total force. All right, what are we doing now here? Okay, the force applied by the snow upon the skis must be equal and opposite the force of the skier's body applied in the snow. All right, so this is the amount of force the snow applies on his body. Well, this is the amount of force he applies upon the snow, right, making that turn. All right, now the point of origin of the force of the snow is applied at the skis, right? But for your body, the combined force of inertia and gravity, this is your inertia. This is a force created by inertia, and this is gravity. This is the vector sum here, all right? The point of origin of that force is at the center of mass. We take that, to simplify analysis. So the force applied by the body is due to the vector sum of gravity and inertia, and its point of origin is at the center of mass. Okay, the point of origin of the body's force is at the center of mass. All right. Okay, so now I want to introduce the concept of shifting the center of mass. All right. Okay, so here's a skier's body. Right, here's the center of mass. That's where the point of origin of the force is, and this is the force applied by the snow. Right, and I have a caveat here. The force applied by the body does not originate from only one point. I mean, it's at every point. Depending upon how much mass is located at each point. All right, but that'd be so hard to explain. So we take like a generalized center of mass and we use that as a point of origin. Okay. It's not as simple as that, but to make it simple to explain. All right. All right. So effective shifting the upper body center of mass. All right. What am I doing here? Okay. So again, we have a 0.5 g turn. This is the vector sum of the total forces. All right. And so let's say you start this way. So your center of mass is lined up exactly with the force vector. All right. Now, in the first example, let's say you let your center of mass drop. So you lean in a little bit. All right. You see that? Okay. Your center of mass drops from here to here because you're leaning in. And what happens is this point is still fixed. All right. And this is the hinge here. What happens is the force application is shifted downward here, and that creates a lever arm which wants to torque you and twist you, down and in. You're going to slide in. All right. So what's going to happen is it's going to pull you down, and you're going to lose an edge, and you're going to slide out. Like you're sliding into second base, right? Well, you don't want to do that skiing. That's not going to win you any races, right? Now, if you raise your upper body center of mass from here to here, get it above the ground force vector. So this is below the ground force vector. But if you raise it above the ground force vector, all right, you're going to create a lever arm this way. Here's your stationary point. This is the hinge. And it's going to create a lever arm which is going to want to pull you this way. And that's going to want to pull you upright. And realistically, what's going to happen is going to want to pull you up onto your outside ski, which is the ski you want to make sure you maintain contact with the snow. All right. All right. So that's the idea. You always want to raise your center of mass above the ground force vector here, right? You know, the snow force vector, you might want to say. That's applying, force on your body. All right, so to do that, here, how to raise the upper body center of mass to stay upright in a turn. All right, okay, so let's say you're making a right turn and you want to raise, the force vector is, ground force vector is here. You want to raise your center of mass from here up to here, right? Now, how do you do that? Well, there's two ways of doing that. One is you want to use what's called hip angulation, all right? You want to keep your shoulders level here with the horizon, and that's going to put angulation right down there. Boom, right there, that angle, right? So that angulation raises the center of mass up here, right? Now you got a lever arm here that's going to want to keep you upright, right? And the other way of doing it is with a combination of hip rotation and then bowing towards the outside. So the idea is this. When you do slip and slide, remember you're doing a right turn, so you slip the inside foot forward, the outside foot back, okay? All right, you're doing a right turn here. Now what that's going to do is that's going to shift your upper body to twist and rotate to the outside, in this case to the 10 o'clock position. So with your body rotated, your upper body rotated to the outside, all you have to do then is bow towards that, right? And that's gonna jackknife your upper body, your body, and it's gonna also raise the center of mass, right? So there's two ways. One, just get hip angulation, angle the hip, to the side, and the other way is you want to twist your body with slip and slide, rotating it to the outside. Then once it's rotated to the outside, you bow, and by bowing, you lift it. All right. All right. So now rotate at the hip, then bow towards the 10 o'clock for a right turn, or to the 2 o'clock position for a left turn. So, if you're doing a left turn, your left foot is slipped forward, your right foot is slipped back, right? And then you bow in this direction. Your upper body's facing this direction, you just bow. And that's going to lift your upper body mass to the outside of the turn. All right, now the idea is to keep the center of mass above the ground force vector. All right, you always want to get it above this vector. Right, here's the ground force vector. You want to get, the center mass up there, right? Then the inertia gravity force of the upper body will create a lever arm that will torque the body up and out, placing weight on the outside ski. All right, if the skier leans too far inside and the center of mass falls below the ground force vector down here, well, it's going to create a lever arm that's going to want to pull you down, right? That will create a lever arm that will torque your body down towards the snow, placing weight on the inside edge of the inside ski. And what's going to happen is you're going to lose edge grip, and then you're going to slide out, right? If your center mass comes down here, it's just going to torque you down, and then you're going to fly out this way, right? The ski is not going to hold its edge, and you're just going to slide out. I'll show you a video of this at the end of this lesson. So the idea is to keep the center of mass above. Oh, I just read that. All right, so this is what we did. First, we examined at one point a force case for simplification, and keep it simple. Next, we'll examine different turn intensities and how that looks. And finally, we'll do a 2-foot analysis, which is a more realistic, right? It involves a shift in weight from one foot to the other. So you don't have one point of contact, right? You actually have 2 points of contact with 2 feet, 2 skis, right? And we'll show what shifting the upper body center mass does in terms of shifting weight from foot to foot, all right? It's a little added complication, but it's not that difficult. So now we'll talk about turn intensities. All right, so this is the easiest turn, half a G. Here's 1 G, then here is a 2 G turn, which is a pretty serious turn. I mean, ski racers are doing this quite a bit. Maybe not too many recreational skiers, but it's possible. All right. So again, half G turn. Here is 1 G. This is your body weight. Half G turn. You're having if you're a 200-pound guy, here's another extra 100 pounds going this way, pushing it that way. Here's the combined force vector, the vector sum. All right, and that's the direction. Now, if you're doing a 1 G turn, the amount the amount of force pushing you in that direction is equal to your body weight. So if you're 200 pounds, 200 pounds is pushing you this way. And then the vector sum is this way. You can see it is exactly at a 45-degree angle, right? It's a steeper angle, or not a steeper, a more shallow angle, and it's a more force. You can see the length of the line is longer, right? Now, if you're doing a 2G turn, so this you're applying 200 pounds force for a 200-pound guy here in the snow, but the turn itself is applying 400 pounds this way, right? So this is a pretty serious turn. It takes it takes a good amount of leg strength here. And the combined force vector is more flat, more laid out, which means your body's going to have to be more laid out to correspond to this. And it's a larger sum of force. Maybe around 500 pounds force, I'm guessing. Close to it, maybe a little less than 500, but close. All right, so key takeaway concepts: as turn intensity increases, the force the body must apply also increases. That's obvious. As turn intensity increases, the body must be more laid out horizontally to oppose acceleration force, right? But in all cases, the upper body center of mass must be above the force vector. So you got to keep your upper body center of mass above this, in this area, above it here. Don't let it drop down. And here you can be more upright, but it still has to be above. Okay. As a side note, a 200-pound skier will have to overcome roughly 500 pounds of force in a 2G turn. All right. Now, one of the reasons why ski racers are actually really good athletes, they're in good shape, is because they do this not just like once or twice, but turn after turn after turn. They're slamming 500 pounds, right? You know, for the 200-pound guy, anyways, right? Over and over again, all the way down the hill. All right. 2-foot analysis adds a complication of weight shift. All right, so you know now you're dealing with 2 feet. All right, that's more realistic because people have 2 feet. All right, to begin our examination of 2 feet force application, examine the case of extreme skiing. All right, so we'll examine this case. Yeah, instead of laying the person out, the person's standing upright. All right, but because of the slope, it looks like they're laid out. Right now, extreme skiing is 50 degrees or more, so that's pretty steep. I skied this once and only once, and actually the first time I skied it, I just tumbled all the way down, head over heels, bow, 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 right? Because I made a mistake. I didn't know how to do it. So I'm going to teach you how to do it. So let's say this slope is hard ice. Yeah, that's, in fact, I was skiing on hard ice slope, and that's steep. Now, to stand or traverse such a slope, the skier must not stand upright. So you see this person standing upright, right? I mean, that's what I thought you do. I didn't know any better. Right, first time I skied it, no one taught me. So you can't stand upright. You have to lean over like you're looking over a steep cliff. You got to actually do this. It seems more scary at that steep. It looks like you're on a cliff, right? You have to peer over like you're leaning over a cliff, about to fall over. But this keeps you safe. So let's examine why. With this upright body position, most of the weight is centered on the uphill ski, the inside ski. And this is what will typically happen. So you see, if you're standing upright, well, most of your weight is going to be centered on this ski here, all right, the inside ski, right? The upward force will be applied along the inside edge, so it'll be applied right here, that force, right? The downward acceleration will be on the downward acceleration vector will be on the inside edge of the inside ski, creating a moment arm that will rotate the skier down, right? So the idea is this can be on the inside of that force vector, right? And it's going to cause you to slide out like this. You're going to slip out, slide down. Your legs are going to slide out under you. It'll be like you're sliding into second base here. And then once you start going down, you know, if it's that steep, you're probably going to go tumbling head over heels. All right. Now, to avoid this, the skier must lean out and over the slope to get the weight on a downhill ski. All right. So this is what you have to do. You got to lean over. Now, you see the center mass here, right? Right. Now, this will shift the weight to the downhill ski, which will cut into the ice and hold grip. So what will happen is, like this, you may skid down right, but you're going to stay up. You're not going to slide out. All right, this may seem counterintuitive, but as a former skier, I know this is absolutely true. Well, I just started skiing again, so this is old. Uh, all right, so what I want to do here is kind of review inertia. Is that what I want to do? Yeah, I guess so. So inertia review. Inertia is a resistance to acceleration in the opposite direction, right? Remember, acceleration is going directly toward the center. So, for example, when you're spinning a kid like this kid's not flying out to the side. This kid is flying directly out in front of you. When you're spinning a ball that's attached to a string like this, right? It is directly, you know, perpendicular to the motion. It's going straight out, no matter where it's at, right? So the acceleration is directly towards the center. Well, the inertia that wants to throw it out is directly opposed to that, and that's why that object is you know, going straight out like this, right? All right, and if you let it go, that would be the momentum that would go flying this way, right? So example of applications of this angular inertia is your washing machine, right? You know, when it's going through the spin cycle to dry the clothes, to get the water out, what it does is it spins really fast, and that throws the water out, right? Now, the same principle applies with a centrifugal pump here. Right, here's a suction, but what really makes it work is it's suction here, but this is spinning so fast that it throws the water out, and it throws the water out under pretty high pressure here, right? Now, this motion creates a suction there, right? If it's a liquid, it's going to be a solid mass, right? So if this is being thrown out at high speed, that means it must be sucked in at high speed. Okay, now taking an example of a 2G term, we'll examine a 2-foot application. All right. All right. If you raise your upper body center mass with a combination of hip angulation plus counter rotation with a bow that jackknifes your upper body up and to the outside, this will create a lever arm that will throw your weight onto the outside ski. All right. So here is your outside ski. Here's your inside ski. Right. Let's say initially this is where your center of mass was, but if you use hip angulation and you bow. You have hip rotation and you bow towards the outside. That's going to lift that center of mass, all right? And that's going to create a lever arm, which this is the stationary point. This is the ground force vector. Imagine this is like a hinge here, right? And the force due to inertia, combined force of inertia and gravity, is going to torque you around like this. It's going to pull you up and push your weight more onto the outside ski, right? Lifting you off of your inside ski and onto the outside ski. And this is what holds you up, right? You get on the inside edge of the inside ski and you're just going to slide out. All right. So the inertia gravity force is above the ground force, okay? Do you see that there? Right, that's what you want. Notice that while the lever arm in the diagram above will rotate the skier upright and onto the outside ski, it's going to pull you like this, torque you onto this, your weight onto this ski, right? The lever arm below will tend to rotate the skier down. The weight upon the inside ski will be lost, and the ski will lose its grip on the snow, and the skier will slide out like a baseball player sliding into second base. So let's examine this. Let's see here. Let's see. That's 5, 6. All right. So this is where your center of mass started off, right? Kind of in between here, right? Then you let it drop, right? You lean in. One thing that's done quite a bit is you raise your outside. If you raise your outside arm, that's going to pull you down, right? It's going to drop your shoulder angle, right? I'll show you a video of this in a second, right? So this is a key mistake that's done is you raise your outside arm. You never want to raise your outside arm. You want to keep your outside arm down, all right? Now when this happens and this drops to here, this is the lever arm. So the inertia gravity combined force vector is now below this. Here's your stationary ground force here, right? And this becomes a hinge, and it'll push this way. It's going to rotate you around this way. It's going to rotate you down, and then you're going to lose grip here, and you're just going to slide out, right, and wipe out. So the inertia gravity force is below the ground force vector here. This rotation will cause roll down followed by slide out, right? And you're going to be an inside ski here. Does that make sense? So your weight shifts to this ski. When you drop it here, the force shifts to this ski, and you're going to lose grip right there. Um, if you do not do slip and slide with hip rotation, you will ski two-footed. So this is a common mistake that causes this. With skis nearly side by side, then you will only get your inside ski in the snow, increasing the risk of slide out. Right. So I want to show you here, I guess. So what that is this is a person doing some exercise here. But imagine that you're skiing like this. Instead of doing slip and slide where your inside ski slip forward and your outside ski is slip back, right? Side by side, you got to have them like this, right? Now, I mean, obviously, you can only have your inside ski on the ground, right? The outside ski will not contact the snow, especially with ski boots. When you're wearing these fat ski boots, right? Well, there's no way that outside ski is going to contact the ground. This has to be slip forward. This has to be slip back. Then both skis can contact the ground. This is called the two-footed method. Now, that's one thing that you can do. But another thing that skiers often do is when they don't have enough counter rotation, right? They do what's called the outrigger. And this is, again, an exercise thing, but it's kind of the idea here. When you do the outrigger, this is the inside ski. Here's the outside ski. The outside ski is really carrying no weight. It's more like a counterweight, right, for counterbalance, but it's not holding weight, right? All the weight's loaded up here on the inside ski, and when you do this, you run a risk of either inside ski blow up, where this ski grips too hard with all your weight in this ski. When it grips, boom, it's going to blow you around in a turn, throw you around. Your knee's going to probably hit your chin, right? Or what happens, another thing that can happen, and is with this ski at high speeds and with no weight in the ski, this ski is flopping around, bouncing around, right? You know, it's a lot of chatter, and without weighting it, it bounces around so severely that it can blow that ski off, right? You lose that ski. I'll show you examples of this in just a minute. So this bears no weight, acts only as a counterbalance here. And so the overall effect, if you don't get enough slip and slide with hip rotation, counter rotation, you can get either slide out, or you get inside ski blow up, or you get outside ski blow off, right? And I guess I'll show you some videos now. All right, let's see here. Inside ski, yeah, we'll do this.
Ow!
Oh, okay. Well,
and down goes Palander.
All right, so this ski racer, you know, one of the top racers. All right, he's going around this turn, and look at his chest is aiming directly where his skis are. He's direct. He does not have counter rotation. He should have this arm, the outside arm, pulled back, right? Now, by pulling it back, you don't lean back. You still lean forward to get your fast forward, but you just pull that arm back because it helps you rotate your body to the outside. Now, when it helps rotate your body to the outside, it helps you do slip and slide, where you slip the inside leg forward, slide the outside leg back. He doesn't have that. So watch what happens. Oh, man, that's too fast. All right, so what happens is he was doing an outrigger. Oh, goodness sakes. All right, see that outrigger? All right. Okay. So all his weight, look at his body position. All his weight is loading up that inside ski. See all the snow blowing off the inside ski? He doesn't have that much weight holding that outside ski, right? Now, with all that weight on the inside ski, when that tip grips, right, with all that weight loaded up there, it's just going to pull him around like this, and it's going to rip him around. You know, he's lucky if his inside knee doesn't jam him in the chin there. Right? See him whip him around like that? Right? That's because the fundamental reason why that happened is because he did not have counter rotation. Right? He was now skiing the 2-foot method. All right?
Oh, and down goes Palander.
Oh, wait, why do I want to do
So he gets hung up in the B netting there. Kalle Palander, who has 4 times 1.
All right, yeah, there you go. See that? His knee came way up here. I don't think I want to do this first. I wanted to do roll down and slide out first. All right, let's see. Roll down the slide up. This is what I want to do first. Okay, so that's Ted Ligety. He was leaning in. Okay, look, he has no counter rotation. Look at his arms. His arms are both in front of him, right? His chest is aimed directly where his skis are going. This is old school method. Now Ted was a person who would always get these high angles, but he doesn't have hip angulation. He lets his upper arm raise. It's not as bad as when you let it fly up in the air like this, but it's still. Look at his shoulder. His outside shoulder is high. His shoulder should be level with the horizon. You got to crank that outside shoulder down, crank the inside shoulder up, right? That's one of the reasons why I use the bullhorns arms, so that I have a little bit of leverage to crank my shoulders to keep them level with the horizon. Then with your shoulders level to the horizon, that drives that angulation, right? Right? Now he doesn't have it. So what happens is he's going to get inside edge slide out. Right? The force is applied here. His center mass drops here, and he's just going to roll down and slide out. There he goes. He hits a gate.
I think that cost him.
Oh, this is Ted Ligety again. All right. Let's see here.
Oh no.
Okay, wow. So he had inside edge slide out, but he caught it. But he couldn't finish the race. So let's see what happens here. So his arms aren't bad. He's got his outside arm lifted a little bit. This is not right. All right. He should get this arm down. Right. This arm should be lifted. Then he gets his shoulders level. That creates an angulation. But worse than that, he pulls that arm back. Right. Pulling the inside arm back. That's anti-counter rotation. He's rotating the wrong way. Look at his chest. It's going directly towards the line of his skis. That is not what you want, right? You want to be rotated to the outside, right? All right. Now look at how high his outside arm is. So with that's gonna kill his shoulder level, right? That's gonna kill hip angulation, and that's gonna cause the upper body center mass to drop below the force vector, the ground force vector. And then he's going to lose grip on the snow right there.
Oh, wow. Ligety off course. Coming through Fishnet. A difficult turn. But really lost.
All right, who's this? I think this is Ted Ligety. Is this Ted Ligety again? No, this is Marco Sullivan, I believe. Let's see.
But really lost about a half second
right
there.
Here. I don't like the way he's coming in.
Yeah, there you go. All right. So let's see what he did. I wish I could advance this frame by frame. So you can see he's dropping his inside arm. That's wrong. He's not really raising his outside arm, but he will in a second. Watch this. See that? He raised his outside arm. He already had his inside arm dropped. That is the opposite of what you want to do. See that his shoulders are almost like vertical. You want to keep your shoulders horizontal. You want to keep your shoulders level with the horizon, right? Now, look at all his weight drop down. He's on his inside edge there. It's sliding out. He's doing somewhat, he doesn't have any hip rotation, any counter rotation. So you can see he's doing a 2-foot method, and he's doing kind of an outrigger, but all his weight's loaded up on the inside ski there, right?
Coming in that corner.
And he slides out.
Oh, now he's off.
Sullivan goes out just like that.
Oh, this is Lindsay. What's going on here? I think she loses a ski here. So this is also outside ski blow off. Yeah. Look at her shoulders. They should be her level with the horizon. So she raises her outside arm. She doesn't have any counter rotation too, right? This is total old school method, the way they used to ski. Right, her inside arm is dropped, right, and you see that all the weight's being loaded up on the inside ski now because her center mass is dropped. Her weight's being her combined inertia gravity vector is being loaded up on the inside ski. And you see that ski flopping around. When the outside ski is not weighted, right, it flops around like crazy, right? It bounces around severely at that high speeds, and then it blows off, right? That violent bouncing around blows off that ski. So she loses a ski there. You see it just go flying, all right? And she slides out. All right, there it is. She's leaning in, right? She's got that arm raised. That's not what you want to get. This arm down and backwards, right? So that's gonna level your shoulders, and it's gonna rotate your body to the outside. It's gonna help drive your inside ski forward, outside ski back, right? Pulling them closer together, right? You see that ski bouncing around violently, and it just blows off. There it goes. Who's this? I can't remember who this is. Well, that's Lindsey Vonn again. Well, that's the same. That's the same video. All right, enough of that. Why do I have all this? Oh, okay, this is why. All right, she's leaning in there. Boy, she made that turn. All right, now what? Okay. Oh, this is Michaela Schifrin. All right, what did she do? All right, her outside arm is high. She doesn't have counter rotation. She's doing kind of a 2-footer. All right, now look at, she's pulling her outside arm forward. That's not what you want to do. She has no counter rotation. Her chest is aimed directly towards the direction of her skis. All right, her chest is chasing her ski tips. That's not what you want to do. All right, now because of that, that causes her to have the 2-footer method. Right, you're going to load up too much weight on the inside ski. Right, so look at her arms. Both arms are forward. All right, and then she slides out. She loses grip. Her weight was on the inside ski, and it slides out, and she goes down.
Oh! Look at her start.
All right, see that? All right, both arms forward. All right, she has no hip angulation, no counter rotation, no bow towards the outside. Right, all the weight's loaded up on the inside ski, and the lever arm just pulls her down.
This turn again, she gets late.
Well, who is that? I think that's Michaela Schifrin again. All right. Now, it looks like she has counter rotation, but she really doesn't. She has both arms forward. This arm is also forward. That arm is forward. All right. They're kind of like pointed me like at 45-degree angle this way, right? But this arm's not pulled back, right? And
again, she gets.
So her center mass fell in too far, right? And
late. She's already late.
She slides out. Okay, who's that? Oh, that's Michaela again. Oh, this is this year, I believe. Yeah. Okay. See that slide out. All right. So she doesn't have enough counter rotation here. So here in this first turn, she almost gets inside ski blowout. Again, she doesn't have counter rotation. I don't know why she shifted away for this race. For a few races, she shifted away from slip and slide and counter rotation. You know, going to like an old school method. And now watch, her chest is chasing her ski tips, right? She has no slip and slide, so her chest is aimed directly forward. Her skis are side by side. This is a 2-footer, right? She leans in and she loads up extra mass on that inside ski, and that gives her almost inside ski blowout. Too much weight loaded on this inside ski. Boom. See, it pulls her, It wasn't that bad. You'll see a lot worse cases here. But now she's going to do the same thing. She's not going to get slip and slide. She's not going to get counter rotation. She's going to, you know, have her chest chasing her ski tips, right? It's going to cause her to be two-footed, side-by-side skis here, right? You can only get one down. It's going to be the inside ski, and right? And she also raises her outside arm, right? See, her outside arm is raised. That's going to kill her shoulders from being level. And when her shoulders aren't level, that's going to drop that upper body. She's not going to have any angulation at the hip, all right? So the upper body's not going to be lifted. And again, that causes her to slide out right there. Boom. All right, so that's that inside ski blowout she almost had. Too much weight on this ski. When that tip grips, it pulls you out like this. You see that? It pulled her out, right? But it wasn't that bad, so she caught it. All right, now, there's no counter rotation. Both arms forward, right? Her outside arm is high, right? Her shoulders are angled down, right? That means she's going to have a straight body, no hip angulation. She even raises that outside arm more. That's even worse. All right, and she slides out.
Then he really caught it.
Oh, this is Bodie, I believe. Oh, this is Bodie, yeah.
Edge and
oh, he got inside.
and almost high-sided himself. Great shot from that valley cam showing just how close to going into the trees he was. And our super slow motion here. Wow. You could just see when that ski hooked up. This is an acrobatic move, I guarantee you, and he is well aware what could happen.
This is a classic Bodie Miller. He can do these crazy contortions in here and still catch it and save it.
But if that tip or that tail hits the ground too fast, it could spell disaster for him. The fence is not far off.
Another remarkably acrobatic display by Bodie Miller. I mean, it's extraordinary when you watch these things that he can do. He's still perfectly in balance on the one ski, brings the other one around and gets himself going again.
All right, so that is inside. That's roll down and slide out. Now I want to show you what I want to show you. Inside ski blow up. That's that Palander.
Oh, and down goes Palander. So he gets hung up in the B netting there. Kale
now,
Palander.
There's no counter rotation. His chest is chasing his ski tips. All right, directly in line with the ski. This is the old school method. Everyone was doing this, right? And this is not too long ago. Right? They're doing this in 2010, 11. You know, I'm teaching, don't do this, and people are picking it up, but a lot of people weren't. All right, I think this is about a 2010 or 11 video.
That's 4 times.
This is Solden, I believe.
Times 1.
All right, so you see, all right. He has no counter rotation, right? All his weight is on the inside ski, and when that tip grips, it's going to torque him around rapidly because all that weight's on that ski is going to be thrown around. There you go. See that? Whips him around.
You see the tail sliding out. That slick snow, grippy at the beginning of the.
But right down.
Okay, what is this
Here in the shade. Watch
this is.
what happens here. She hooks up and takes a tough fall onto her left arm, and it's her distal radius that she injured, which is right up near the front.
So no counter rotation, right? With no counter rotation, she's doing a 2-footer. Now she has the outrigger. So that's what happens when you have the outrigger. Let's look at Palander again. See, he has no counter rotation. He's doing the outrigger. When you do the outrigger, you really have no weight on an outside ski. It's so far out there that you can't weight it, right? And all the weight's loaded on the inside ski. This is when you don't have enough counter rotation, right? Too much weight on an inside ski because that outside leg is so far out there, it's not holding a weight. It's more acting just like a counterweight, almost like an outrigger sailboat. The outside, pontoon or whatever it is just keeping the sailboat from flipping over, right? This is just a counterweight. No weight being borne there, right? All the weight loaded up on the inside ski. Okay, wait.
Up and takes a tough fall onto her left arm, and it's her distal radius that she injured, which is...
Okay. See how her chest is facing directly ahead. There's no counter rotation. She has to have feet side by side, therefore, right? That's a 2-footer, and she's going wide, so that's an outrigger, right? And she has no weight. This can hold no weight. It's laying out. It's just the counterweight, right? All the weights on this ski, and then when it holds, it's loading too much weight. When that ski tip grips, it just rips her around, right? And that's an inside ski blowout.
And
boom.
Just look at how hard she lands on it, right there, and then slides very, very icy. This is injection.
This is Andrew.
Oh, that's Teddy. Is that Ted? No. Yeah, it's Ted Ligety.
Wide
rod is fast, and there comes the mistake, and he's out.
Luck has continued. He had a DNF at Kitzbühel, a mistake. That's where Ted's results have been coming this year.
Okay, that's inside. So again, let's see what happened here.
A mistake.
All right. So look at him. He's rotating his upper body, right? Man, this is definitely old school. I think this is about 2009, right? This is a little bit older, right?
That's where Ted's results.
See, both arms in front. All right. Now he's got no counter rotation. Ooh, high arm, right? All right. That without counter rotation, that outside leg is just acting like an outrigger. It's a counterbalance.
This year.
With all the weight on the inside ski, boom, it blows him around.
Whoa! Oh no!
And down goes.
Now you see that how that ski was flopping around. Right, that happens. We'll talk about that in the next videos when we talk about outside ski blow off. Oh, this is a severe one. This is Nastasia Noens, right? No counter rotation. Look at her, right? Her outside arm is a little high, but look at they're both facing forward, right? So her chest is facing forward. She has no slip and slide. And when she leans in, all her weight is loaded on the inside ski. Here's her weight. There's the inside ski, right? Her body's down, right? You look at her outside ski. It's just basically it's just a counterweight. Now watch when that tip grips, right? Her knee hits her chin. Bam, right? Pulls her around and tosses her, torques her around. So Michaela did, let's see what Michaela did here. This is about 2014 or 15, I believe. Right, not too long ago. Right, inside ski blowout. She didn't have counter rotation. That was pretty fast. Let's see if I can. All right, see, her chest is aiming forward, right? No counter rotation. She's going to have a 2-footer side by side, right? All her weight's going to be loaded on the inside ski, right? Let's see if she raises her outside arm. No? It could have been due to the train, too. Maybe it was a little high there, but she had no counter rotation. That was a fundamental reason why. And she gets torqued around. All right, that's the inside ski blow up. See, look at both arms forward, 2-footer, chest directly chasing the ski tips. When that happens, your feet are side by side. All right. All her weight's loaded on the inside ski there, right? It's due to partially due to the slope, but the fundamental reason is not that. It doesn't matter if you have this. If you have slip and slide with counter rotation, you're gonna just slice through this, right? So all weight is loaded up on the inside ski, and when the tip grips, it torques her around, and you get that blow up. Right. Let's see it again. So she is directly facing. Now look at her shoulders too, right? She's not keeping her shoulders level. She's keeping her shoulders perpendicular to her body. That's not what you want to do. Right? You want to keep your shoulders level. So she doesn't have hip angulation. She doesn't have a counter rotation, slip and slide. This lack of hip angulation here, that's part of the reason why she loaded up her inside ski too much. The other reason is without counter rotation, that outside leg is just a counterweight, right? Okay, see that? That's outrigger right there. That's holding no weight. All her weight's loaded onto the ski. And when it grips, when that tip grips with all that, holding all that weight, it's just going to pull you around. All right, so the last videos I'm going to show you are outside ski blow off. Let's see where it is, outside ski. So this happens, this is Bodie Miller. Let's see what I want to get for that. This happens when you don't have you have enough counter rotation and you're leaning in too much. All right. You have the outrigger. If you don't have counter rotation, you're leaning too much. That outside leg is laid out way out like an outrigger. It's holding no weight. All right. The weight's loaded on the inside ski. What can happen is you can have inside ski blow up, but if you don't, with no weight on the ski, it's so light that it flops around violently. When it flops around violently, it can blow off.
Navigate this like no other.
Let's see what happens. I think, is this a turn? No. Oh, no, this is Ted Ligety. Oh, not. Yeah, that's Ted Ligety, I believe. Well, all right. So let's see if we can have this slow motion
Loses
here.
a ski. Oh, man.
Well, that's Bodie, I think.
And that's where I would have thought Bodie. And watch again.
All right, I think that's slow motion. All right, so one thing is his outside arm is high here. This is the wrong turn. He's sitting back a little bit. That's typical Bodie. This could be Bodie. Or it's Ted, I'm not sure. All right, see how far his both arms are back. That's not good.
A little bit off balance, but then.
All right, so, that's a key problem. Look at how high his outside arm is, right? That's dropping his shoulders like this. They're almost vertical, right? You got to keep those shoulders level here, and that's going to keep your upper body level, and that's going to drive hip angulation. That's going to maintain that upper body center mass high. He's dropping it this way. So the upper body center mass is dropping below the force vector line here, ground force. He's got that inside arm almost dragging in the snow. That's an error. He's doing a 2-foot method. He's got no counter rotation. Look at his feet side by side here.
Throws.
And it blows off.
His feet out to get around.
There's no weight on that ski. It flops around violently, blows off.
And yeah, I'm gonna sure there's gonna be some
Bodie.
words.
Oh, this is Lindsay. Oh, okay. Let's see what happened there.
Sure, there's gonna be some words.
She raises that outside arm. Look at that arm going up. I think it goes up even higher. She has no counter rotation. She's chasing her ski tips. Chest chasing ski tips. That's wrong. Yeah, see that arm go up, right? Without counter rotation, her outside leg is laid out like a outrigger, right? No weight on it, right? You see how it's flopping around there? boom, it blows off. All right. No weight on that outside ski. She's leaning in, outside arm raised high. Right? See that ski popping around, flopping around violently? When that happens, that ski blows off.
Always great to have them here in Aspen to keep for the World Cup, for the points, and hopefully this year for the overall.
Oh, this is Lindsay again. Not a different race. Leaning in too much, that ski blows off. Outside arm high, no counter rotation. Same thing, no counter rotation. Look at that, outside arm high. That ski's flopping around, bam, blows off. Whatever this is. Oh, that's at Lindsay Vaughn again.
Possiamo rivedere il replay, adesso è iniziato a sbacchettare lo sci destro, poi è partito lo sci destro.
You see that ski flopping around violently? All right, that's it for that. Let's see. What is this again?
Oh, and down goes Palander. And so he gets hung up in the B netting there. Kale Palander, who has 4 times won.
All right, that's it for that lesson. Kind of a long lesson there. Well, let me summarize it first. All right. So the purpose of the vector analysis is to help you visualize and better understand why you have to raise your upper body center of mass above the ground force vector. All right. To create a lever arm that rotates your body up and onto the outside ski. Right. If you don't, typical things that can happen are like we just saw. You can get rolled down and slide out. You get rolled down and slide out, or you get inside ski blow up or outside ski blow off. All right. Okay.